The Dominion fleet was in full retreat. Their ships were scattered across the solar system, running in different directions. Many were damaged and leaking air. Others had lost their weapons completely. The mighty empire that had conquered hundreds of worlds was fleeing from one small planet. General Voltinus was on the bridge of his command ship. Half of his screens were dark. His ship was badly damaged. 3 of his engines were dead. His weapon systems were offline. Around him, his officers were trying to repair the damage. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked. 43, sir," replied his tactical officer. "We lost more than 200 ships in the battle." Voltinus couldn't believe it. His fleet had been the strongest in the galaxy. Now it was broken and running for its life. How had this happened? How had primitive humans defeated his advanced technology? "Sir," said the communication officer, "we're receiving a message from the human fleet." "Put it on screen, Voltinus." Ordered. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm but determined. Behind him, the bridge of the Defiant was busy with activity. The humans were still fighting, still coordinating their attacks. General Voltinus, Morrison, said, "This is your second warning. Stop running and surrender. Your fleet is defeated. Your mission has failed. There is no shame in admitting defeat." Voltinus felt his anger rising. "We are the Dominion. We do not surrender to anyone, especially not to primitive creatures like you." Morrison's expression didn't change. "Then you have chosen your fate. No ship in your fleet will leave this solar system alive. You came here to destroy us. Now you will face the consequences." The screen went dark. Voltinus stared at it for a long moment. Then he turned to his officers. "All ships, maximum speed. We must reach the jump point before they catch us." But the humans were already ahead of them. Captain Ben Parker's ships were waiting near the edge of the solar system. They had taken a shorter route and arrived first. When the Dominion ships tried to escape, they found their path blocked. "Surprise," Ben said over the radio. "Did you really think we'd let you leave?" The remaining Dominion ships were trapped. Behind them came the main human fleet. Ahead of them waited Ben's ships. To the left and right, more human vessels were peering. The aliens were completely surrounded. Nina Brooks was flying her fighter above the largest Dominion ship. Her squadron had grown during the battle. Other pilots had joined her group. Now she commanded over 100 fighters. All pilots. "Listen carefully," she broadcast. "These ships contain the commanders who ordered the attack on Earth. They showed no mercy to other worlds. We will show them the same mercy they showed to others." The human pilots understood. The Dominion had destroyed entire civilizations. They had killed billions of innocent people. They had come to Earth planning to do the same thing. There would be no prisoners taken today. General Patricia Hayes was watching the final battle from her command center. The screens showed the last Dominion ships being destroyed one by one. Each explosion represented justice for the worlds that had been lost to the alien empire. "Send a message to all human colonies," she ordered. "Tell them that Earth is safe. The Dominion fleet has been destroyed." But Patricia knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion was a huge empire. They had thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. This fleet was just one small part of their military. When they learned what had happened here, they would send more ships. Lisa Carter was thinking the same thing. She was standing on the bridge of her ship, watching the last enemy vessels burn. Her crew was cheering, but Lisa was already planning for the next battle. "Captain," said one of our officers, "what do we do now?" "The Dominion will send more ships when they learn about this." "No," Lisa replied. "They won't get the chance. We're going to take the fight to them." This was the human way. They didn't just defend themselves. When someone attacked them, they struck back harder. The Dominion had made the mistake of threatening Earth. Now they would learn what happened when you woke up a sleeping giant. Commander Ryan Collins was on a captured Dominion ship. His team was studying their navigation systems. They had found something very interesting. "Sir," he reported to Admiral Morrison, "we found the location of their nearest base. It's only 2 star systems away. They have a supply depot there with maybe 50 ships." Morrison smiled. "Excellent. Prepare an attack force. We're going to pay them a visit." Alex Rodriguez was still on Luna Base, but now he was doing something different. He was using the captured Dominion communication equipment to send messages across the galaxy. The messages were simple but important. "This is Earth," the message said. "The Dominion fleet that attacked our world has been completely destroyed. We gave them a warning. They chose to ignore it. Now they face the consequences. Any other species that threatens our world will meet the same fate." The message was broadcast on all frequencies. Every alien civilization in the galaxy would hear it. They would learn that Earth was not a weak planet that could be easily conquered. They would learn that humans were dangerous when threatened. Captain Steve Mitchell was leading a team through the wreckage of General Voltanis's command ship. The alien general was dead, killed when his ship exploded. But his computer systems were still working. They contained valuable information about the Dominion Empire. "Look at this," Steve said to his team. "They have a list of all the worlds they've conquered. Hundreds of civilizations have been destroyed by these creatures." The list was long and sad. Each entry represented an entire species that had been wiped out. The Dominion had been doing this for centuries. They had killed trillions of beings. They had destroyed countless worlds. "Not anymore," Steve said quietly. "Their killing spree ends here." The human fleet was already preparing for its next mission. They had captured dozens of Dominion ships. Their engineers were studying the alien technology. Their scientists were learning how to build better weapons. Their tacticians were planning new attacks. Ben Parker was in charge of the captured ships. His team was repairing the damage and installing human equipment. Soon, these vessels would be fighting for humanity, instead of against it. "How long before they're ready?" asked Admiral Morrison. "Give me a week," Ben replied. "We'll have 50 alien ships ready for battle. But they'll be better than when the Dominion had them. We're making improvements." This was what the Dominion had never understood. Humans didn't just copy technology. They made it better. They were always looking for ways to improve things. The captured ships would be stronger, faster, and more deadly than they had ever been. Nina Brooks was training new pilots. During the battle, many human fighters had been destroyed. But for every pilot that died, 2 more volunteered to take their place. The human spirit could not be broken. "Remember," she told her new students, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every species that the Dominion has destroyed. We're fighting for justice." The young pilots nodded seriously. They understood the responsibility they carried. They were not just soldiers. They were the guardians of freedom. In the galaxy, General Patricia Hayes was meeting with world leaders. They were discussing the next phase of the war. The battle for Earth was over, but the war against the Dominion was just beginning. "They came to our home," she said to the assembled leaders. "They tried to destroy everything we love. We cannot let them do this to other worlds. We must stop them." The leaders agreed. Earth would not return to its peaceful existence. The humans had been awakened. They would not sleep again until the Dominion was destroyed. Lavra Adams was still listening to alien communications. But now she was hearing something different. She was hearing fear. News of the Dominion's defeat was spreading across the galaxy. Other alien species were talking about the humans with wonder and terror. "They destroyed the entire Third Fleet," one alien was saying. 300 ships gone in one day. "The humans are more dangerous than we thought," another replied. "We should avoid their territory." "Maybe we should ask them for protection," suggested a third voice. This was exactly what the humans had hoped for. The galaxy was learning that Earth was not to be messed with. Other species were starting to see humans as protectors instead of enemies. The final Dominion ship was destroyed just as the sun was setting on Earth. The wreckage floated in space, a monument to the Empire's arrogance. Not a single alien vessel had escaped. Not a single survivor remained to tell the tale. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, looking out at the stars. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The Dominion had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked humanity's home. Now they would face the consequences. "Set course for the Dominion supply depot," he ordered. "It's time to take the fight to them." The human fleet began to move. They were no longer defending their home. They were going on the attack. The Dominion had awakened something terrible. They had awakened the fury of humanity. The warning had been clear. The humans had asked for peace. The Dominion had chosen war. Now they would learn what happened when you ignored humanity's warning. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth was safe. The Dominion fleet was destroyed. Justice had been served. But this was only the beginning. The humans were coming, and they would not stop until every world was free from the Dominion's tyranny. The stars themselves seemed. The battle had been going on for 6 hours. The space around Earth was filled with burning ships and floating debris. Both sides had lost many vessels, but something was becoming clear. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were learning from every fight. Commander Ryan Collins was studying the enemy attack patterns from the Defiance bridge. He had been watching the Dominion ships for hours. Something important was happening. "Sir," he said to Admiral Morrison, "the enemy. Ships are getting slower. They're not responding to our attacks as quickly as before." Jake Morrison nodded. "That's because they're waiting for orders. Their commanders are afraid to make decisions without permission from their generals." This was the Dominion's greatest weakness. Their entire military was based on following orders. Soldiers could not think for themselves. Captains had to ask permission before changing course. Even generals were afraid to act without approval from their superiors. Laura Adams was an intelligence officer on Earth. She had been listening to alien communications all day. Her job was to translate their messages and understand their plans. What she discovered was shocking. "General Hayes," she called from her station, "you need to hear this. The enemy commanders are arguing with each other. They're blaming each other for their losses." Patricia Hayes came over to listen. Through her headphones, she could hear alien voices speaking in their strange language. The computer translated their words into English. "You should have scanned the asteroids," one alien was saying. "You should have protected the supply ships," another replied. "The humans are too unpredictable," said a third voice. Patricia smiled. "They're falling apart. Their command structure is breaking down." This was exactly what the humans had hoped for. The Dominion was used to fighting weak enemies. They had never faced an opponent that could adapt and learn. Their rigid military system was designed for easy victories, not for real wars. Captain Ben Parker was leading another surprise attack. His ships had captured a small Dominion vessel. Now he was studying its technology. What he found was both impressive and disappointing. "Their weapons are powerful," he reported to Earth Command, "but they're not creative. Every ship has the same guns, the same shields, the same systems. They never try anything new. Can we use their technology?" Asked General Hayes. "Already working on it," Ben replied. "Give me 2 hours, and I'll have human ships using alien weapons." This was another human advantage. They could take any technology and improve it. The Dominion had been using the same weapons for centuries. They never changed their designs. They never experimented with new ideas. Humans were different. They were always trying to make things better. They would take a Dominion energy gun and modify it to fire faster. They would take alien shields and make them stronger. They would take enemy sensors and make them more accurate. Nina Brooks was proving this point. Her fighter squadron had captured several alien weapons. Her mechanics were already installing them on human ships. But they weren't just copying the alien designs. They were making them better. "Captain," said her chief mechanic, "we've improved. The alien plasma cannon. It now fires twice as fast and uses half the energy." "How did you do that?" Nina asked. "We changed the power coupling and modified the firing sequence." The aliens never thought to try it this way. This was happening all over the human fleet. Every captured alien weapon was being studied and improved. Every destroyed enemy ship was providing new technology. The humans were getting stronger with each battle. General Vultinus was becoming desperate. His fleet was losing ships faster than he could replace them. His carefully planned attack had turned into a disaster. He needed to do something drastic. "Prepare the planet killer," he ordered. His officers looked shocked. The planet killer was the Dominion's most powerful weapon. It could destroy an entire world with one shot. But using it would kill billions of innocent people. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "are you sure?" "The planet killer has never been used on an inhabited world. These humans are too dangerous," Vultinus replied. "We must destroy them completely." But the planet killer weapon was slow to charge. It needed 30 minutes to build up enough energy. In those 30 minutes, the humans would have time to react. Alex Rodriguez detected the energy buildup immediately. His sensors on Luna Base were very sensitive. They could detect any unusual energy signatures. "Emergency alert?" He broadcast to all human ships. "The enemy is charging a planet killer weapon. We have 30 minutes to stop them." The news spread through the human fleet like wildfire. Every captain, every pilot, every soldier knew what this meant. If the weapon fired, Earth would be destroyed. Everyone they loved would die. But instead of panicking, the humans became more determined. They had given the Dominion a warning. They had offered peace. The aliens had chosen war. Now they were trying to commit genocide. "All ships, attack the command vessel," ordered Admiral Morrison. "We have to stop that weapon." Every human ship in the solar system turned toward the Dominion command ship. It was heavily defended, surrounded by smaller vessels. But the humans didn't care about the cost. They had to protect their home. Captain Steve Mitchell led the first wave of attackers. His ship was small and fast. He flew straight at the command vessel, dodging energy beams and missile attacks. Behind him came dozens of other ships. "Remember," he told his pilots, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for our families, our children, our future." The human attack was like nothing the Dominion had ever seen. The ships didn't follow normal battle formations. They attacked from every angle, using suicide tactics that no sane military would attempt. They were willing to die to protect their planet. Lisa Carter was leading the second wave. Her ships were larger and more heavily armed. They followed the fighters, targeting the command ship's weapon systems. Every gun that they destroyed was one less threat to Earth. "The planet killer is at 50% charge," reported the sensor. "Officer, we're running out of time." But the humans had a secret weapon of their own. It wasn't a gun or a bomb. It was their ability to work together. Every human ship was part of a larger plan. Every pilot knew their role in the battle. Captain Ben Parker's ships attacked from behind. Commander Ryan Collins led a force from the left. Nina Brooks brought her fighters from above. The Dominion command ship was surrounded by enemies. "Impossible," shouted General Vultinus. "How are they coordinating so many ships?" "They're not using a central command," replied his communication officer. "Each ship is acting independently, but they're all working toward the same goal." This was something the Dominion could never do. Their ships could only follow orders. They couldn't think for themselves. They couldn't adapt to changing situations. They certainly couldn't coordinate complex attacks without central command. The human attack reached its climax. Hundreds of ships were firing at the command vessel. Its shields were failing. Its weapons were being destroyed. The planet killer was at 90% charge, but it might not get the chance to fire. "Sir," said the tactical officer, "the weapon systems are failing. We can't complete the charge." General Voltinus looked at his screens in horror. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by creatures he had thought were weak. His planet killer weapon was useless. His dreams of easy conquest were turning into nightmares. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "We must escape before they destroy us all." But it was too late. The humans had learned something important during the battle. They had learned that the Dominion was not invincible. They had learned that aliens could be beaten. Most importantly, they had learned that they were stronger than they had ever imagined. The retreat order came too late. The human ships were everywhere. They had surrounded the alien fleet. They had cut off escape routes. They had turned the hunter into the hunted. The Dominion had come to Earth expecting an easy victory. They had found a nightmare instead. The humans had given them a fair warning. Now they were about to learn what happened when you ignored that warning. The battle for Earth was almost over, and the humans were winning. The first attack from Jupiter's moon shocked the Dominion fleet. General Voltinus watched his lead ship burn in space. The vessel's shields had failed completely. Fires burned along its hull. The ship was dying. How did they do that? Voltinus demanded. "Our shields should have stopped that attack." His science officer studied the readings. "Sir, they used our own technology against us. The beam was modified to match our shield frequency. It passed right through our defenses." Voltinus felt fear for the first time in years. These humans were not as primitive as he had thought. They had studied Dominion technology. They had learned its weaknesses. They had prepared for this battle. "All ships, attack formation," he ordered. "Destroy those weapon platforms." The Dominion fleet moved toward Jupiter's moons. Their guns began to fire. Bright energy beams shot across space. But the human weapons were ready. They fired back with equal force. Commander Ryan Collins watched the battle from the Defiant. The space around Jupiter was filled with explosions. Ships on both sides were taking damage. But something was different about this fight. "Sir," Ryan said to Admiral Morrison, "the human ships are fighting strangely. They're not following normal battle plans." Jake Morrison smiled. "That's because there is no normal battle plan. Each human captain is making their own decisions. They're adapting to the situation." This was something the Dominion had never seen before. In their empire, every ship followed orders exactly. Captains were afraid to think for themselves. If they made a mistake, they would be punished. This made their fleet predictable. Human captains were different. They could change their plans in the middle of battle. They could work together without waiting for orders. They could take risks that alien commanders would never try. Captain Nina Brooks proved this point. She was leading her fighter squadron through the asteroid belt. The Dominion ships were trying to destroy the hidden weapons. But Nina had a better idea. "Follow me," she told her pilots. "We're going to attack their command ship." "But Captain," said Steve Mitchell, "that ship is huge. We can't hurt it." "We don't need to hurt it," Nina replied. "We just need to confuse it." Nina led her fighters straight at the biggest Dominion vessel. It was 10 times larger than all her ships combined. Its weapons could destroy her squadron in seconds. But Nina had a plan. The fighters flew in a strange pattern. They moved up and down, left and right. To the alien sensors, it looked like random movement. But Nina's pilots knew exactly what they were doing. Now, Nina shouted. All 20 fighters fired at the same time. Their weapons were small, but they were aimed at the same spot. The combined attack hit the command ship's sensor array. The explosion was tiny, but it was enough. The command ship's sensors went dark. For 30 seconds, it was completely blind. In those 30 seconds, the human weapons in the asteroid belt fired again. Their shots hit the command ship's shields. The shields flickered and failed. Impossible, shouted the alien sensor officer. How did they coordinate that attack? General Voltinus was beginning to understand. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were fighting smart. Every attack was planned. Every move had a purpose. These creatures were dangerous. Back on Earth, General Patricia Hayes was watching the battle. Her underground command center was filled with screens showing the fight. She could see every ship, every weapon, every explosion. The enemy is adapting, she said to our officers. They're learning from their mistakes. What do we do? Asked one of her staff. We adapt faster, Patricia replied. Send new orders to all ships. Tell them to use Plan 7. Plan 7 was something only humans could do. It required every ship to act independently while working toward the same goal. The Dominion fleet was organized like a machine. Each part had a specific job. If one part broke, the whole machine would fail. The human fleet was organized like a living thing. Each ship was like a cell in a body. If one cell died, the others would continue fighting. If the situation changed, they would change too. Captain Ben Parker received the new orders on his ship. He was still hiding near Saturn with 50 other vessels. The enemy fleet was focused on Jupiter. This gave him an opportunity. All ships, prepare for attack, he ordered. We're going behind enemy lines. Ben's fleet moved toward the Dominions. Rear ships, these vessels were less protected. They were supply ships and repair vessels. They were important, but they weren't ready for battle. The attack came as a complete surprise. Ben's ships appeared out of nowhere. They destroyed 3 supply ships before the aliens could react. Then they disappeared back into the darkness. Of space, report, demanded General Voltinus. What happened to our supply ships? They were attacked by human ships, sir, replied his communication officer. But we don't know where the ships came from. Find them, Voltinus ordered. Send fighters to search the area. But the human ships were already gone. They had attacked and retreated in minutes. This was another human advantage. They knew their solar system perfectly. They knew every hiding place, every asteroid, every shadow. The Dominion fleet was in enemy territory. They were fighting blind. Every rock could hide a weapon. Every empty space could contain an enemy ship. The humans could attack from anywhere and disappear just as quickly. Alex Rodriguez was coordinating the defense from Luna Base. He was watching the battle through hundreds of sensors. Each one showed him a different part of the fight. He could see the whole battle at once. The enemy is getting confused, he reported to Earth Command. They're splitting their forces. They don't know where to attack. Good, replied General Hayes. That's exactly what we want. Confused enemies make mistakes. The Dominion fleet was indeed making mistakes. They were firing at shadows. They were chasing human ships that weren't there. They were wasting ammunition on empty space. Meanwhile, the human weapons continued their deadly work. Every time the aliens focused on one threat, another would appear. It was like fighting smoke. The humans were everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Lisa Carter was commanding the Earth Defense Fleet. Her ships were small compared to the alien vessels, but they were fast and smart. They attacked in groups, hitting the same target from different directions. Target their engines, she ordered. A ship that can't move is a dead ship. The human ships swarmed around a large Dominion vessel. They fired at its engine ports. The alien ship tried to turn and fight, but it was too slow. Its engines exploded in a ball of fire. "Another one down," reported one of Lisa's captains. "That's 15 enemy ships destroyed." But the Dominion still had many ships left. They were learning from their losses. They were starting to adapt to human tactics. The battle was far from over. General Vultinus was angry and scared. His mighty fleet was being beaten by creatures he had thought were weak. His ships were dying. His carefully planned attack was falling apart. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "we need to retreat. We're losing too many ships." "No," Vultinus shouted. "We are the Dominion. We do not retreat. We do not lose." But deep in his heart, Vultinus knew the truth. The humans were winning. They were smarter, faster, and more creative than his forces. They had turned their weakness into strength. The battle continued to rage across the solar system. Ships burned and died on both sides. But slowly, surely, the humans were gaining the upper hand. They had given the Dominion a fair warning. The aliens had chosen to ignore it. Now they were learning what happened when you attacked humanities. Home. The humans had awakened. They were no longer hiding. They were no longer afraid. They were fighting back with everything they had, and they were winning. Supreme General Crix Vultinus looked at the small blue planet through his ship's main screen. Earth looked peaceful from space. White clouds moved slowly over green and brown land. The ocean was a deep blue color. It was hard to believe that. Dangerous creatures lived there. "Show me their military strength," Vultinus ordered his intelligence officer. The screen changed. Now it showed human ships floating in space around Earth. Vultinus counted them carefully. There were maybe 50 vessels. Some were big, but most were small. They looked weak compared to his mighty fleet. "That's all they have?" Vultinus asked. He was surprised. Most worlds had bigger fleets than this. "Yes, sir," said the intelligence officer. "Our sensors show no hidden ships, no secret weapons. Number. Strong defenses. This will be easy." Vultinus smiled. His sharp teeth gleamed in the light. "Good. We will destroy them quickly. Then we will take their planet." The Dominion ships moved closer to Earth. They flew in perfect formation. Each ship was black and covered with weapons. Energy shields glowed around them like blue bubbles. They looked like death itself, moving through space. Alex Rodriguez watched the enemy fleet from Luna Base. The base was hidden on the dark side of the moon. Enemy sensors couldn't see it. Alex had been studying the alien ships for hours. They were powerful, but they had weaknesses. "They're moving too close together," Alex said to his team. "If we can hit one ship, the explosion might damage the others." "But their shields are so strong," said one of his officers. "Our weapons can't break through." Alex smiled. "We don't need to break through. We just need to be smarter." The Dominion fleet had fought many battles. They always used the same plan. First, they would surround the enemy planet. Then they would destroy all enemy ships. Finally, they would attack the planet itself. It worked every time, but the aliens had never fought humans before. They didn't know about human creativity. They didn't know about human stubbornness. Most importantly, they didn't know about human traps. Nina Brooks was flying her fighter ship through the asteroid belt. Behind her flew 20 other pilots. Their ships were small and fast. They looked like tiny bugs compared to the huge alien vessels. "Stay low," Nina told her pilots. "Hide behind the rocks. Don't let them see you." The asteroids were perfect hiding places. There were thousands of them floating in space between Mars and Jupiter. Some were as big as mountains. Others were as small as houses. The Dominion ships ignored them completely. This was their first mistake. For 30 years, humans had been working in the asteroid belt. They had built mining stations on the biggest rocks. They had hidden weapons on the smaller ones. They had turned the whole asteroid belt into a giant trap. Captain Steve Mitchell was inside one of the mining stations. From the outside, it looked like a normal workplace. Inside, it was full of weapons and soldiers. Steve had been waiting for this day for 5 years. "The enemy fleet is getting closer," he reported to Earth Command. "They're not scanning the asteroids. They think we're too weak to have weapons here." "Good," came the reply from General Patricia Hayes. "Let them think that. When they get close enough, we'll show them how wrong they are." The Dominion ships reached the outer edge of the solar system. Their sensors looked for enemy ships and weapons. They found the human fleet near Earth. They found some small stations on Mars. They found mining equipment in the asteroid belt. Everything looked normal. "No surprises," reported the sensor officer to General Voltinus. "The humans have positioned their ships for a standard defense. We can destroy them easily." Voltinus nodded. "Begin the attack. Target their biggest ships first." The alien fleet moved forward. Their weapons began to glow. Energy built up in their gun barrels. They were getting ready to fire. But something strange happened. The human ships didn't attack. They didn't run away. They just waited. This confused the Dominion commanders. "Why aren't they fighting?" asked one of Voltinus's officers. "They're afraid," Voltinus answered. "They know they can't win." He was wrong. The humans weren't afraid. They were being patient. They were waiting for the right moment. Ben Parker watched the enemy fleet from his hiding place near Saturn. His ship was powered down. His weapons were cold. To enemy sensors, he looked like a piece of space junk. "Not yet," he whispered to his crew. "Let them get closer." All around the solar system, human ships were hiding. Some were behind moons. Others were inside asteroid caves. A few were floating in the shadow of planets. The Dominion fleet couldn't see them. The aliens had another weakness. They were proud. They thought they were the strongest force in the galaxy. They had never met anyone who could match their power. This made them careless. "Sir," said a young Dominion officer, "should we scan for hidden ships?" "No," Voltinus replied. "These humans are primitive. They don't have the technology to hide from us." This was their second mistake. The human ships weren't using advanced alien technology to hide. They were using simple tricks. They turned off their engines. They used the natural magnetism of planets to mask their energy signatures. They painted their ships black so they couldn't be seen against the darkness of space. Commander Ryan Collins was on the bridge of the Defiant with Admiral Morrison. They were watching the enemy fleet approach. Ryan was nervous. He had never seen so many enemy ships before. "Sir," Ryan said, "there are so many of them. How can we win?" Jake Morrison looked at the young officer. "Ryan, do you know why humans are good at war? Because we have good weapons?" "No," Jake said. "Because we never fight fair. We cheat. We lie. We use tricks. The Dominion fights with honor. That's why they're going to lose." The enemy fleet was now halfway to Earth. They were moving slowly, confident in their strength. Their shields were up. Their weapons were ready. They expected an easy victory. Lisa Carter was in the command center on Earth. She was watching the enemy ships on her screen. Each red dot represented a vessel that could destroy a human city. But Lisa wasn't worried. She was excited. "Phase 1 is complete," she announced to her team. "The enemy has fallen into our trap. They think they know where all our ships are. They're wrong." Around Jupiter, the first part of the human plan began. The planet's largest moon suddenly came alive. What the aliens had thought was a research station was actually a massive gun. It had been charging energy for weeks, waiting for this moment. Gun fired. A beam of pure energy shot across space. It hit the lead Dominion ship. The alien vessel's shields flickered and died. The ship began to burn. "What was that?" shouted General Vultinus. "Where did that come from?" "Jupiter's moon, sir," replied his sensor officer. "But our scans showed it was just a research station." "Then scan again," Vultinus ordered. "Scan everything." The new scans showed the truth. The asteroid belt was full of weapons. The moons of Jupiter were actually gun platforms. The small research stations were really military bases. The humans had been preparing for this attack for decades. "Impossible," whispered Vultinus. "They're too primitive to build things like this." But the evidence was right in front of him. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a weapon. Every rock, every moon, every space station was part of their defense plan. The Dominion fleet tried to change course, but it was too late. They were already inside the trap. Human weapons began firing from every direction. The aliens had expected an easy victory. Instead, they found themselves fighting for their lives. The battle for Earth had begun, and the humans were winning. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Defiant. The ship was humanity's best and strongest vessel. It moved slowly through space near Earth's moon. Jake looked at the stars through the big window in front of him. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. "Sir, we are ready to send the message," said Lisa Carter. She was the captain in charge of Earth's military plans. Her voice was calm, but Jake could see worry in her eyes. Jake nodded. "Send it to all channels. Make sure every alien ship in this part of space can hear it." The message was simple. Jake had written it himself 3 days ago. Earth's leaders had argued about the words for hours. Some wanted to sound stronger. Others wanted to sound nicer. In the end, they kept it simple. "This is Earth. We ask for peace, but we are prepared for war. Do not mistake our desire for peace as weakness. This is your only warning." The words went out into space. Radio waves carried them to every corner of the solar system. Any alien ship with working communication equipment would hear them. The message repeated over and over in different languages. Human computers had learned many alien languages from captured signals over the years. Lisa watched the communication screen. "The message is going out on all frequencies, Admiral. It should reach the Dominion fleet in 6 hours." Jake Morrison had been in space for 20 years. He had seen many things. He had fought pirates and helped build the first human colonies on Mars, but he had never faced anything like this. The Galactic Dominion was coming to Earth. Their fleet was huge. Their weapons were powerful. Their army had conquered hundreds of worlds. "Do you think they will listen?" asked Commander Ryan Collins. He was young and had never been in a real battle. His job was to help Jake make decisions during the fight. Jake looked at the young man. "No, Ryan, they won't listen. They never do. But we have to try. It's the right thing to do." The Dominion had been moving toward Earth for 3 months. Their ships were big and black. Each one was the size of a small city. They had energy weapons that could destroy a planet. Their soldiers were strong and mean. They had never lost a war. Captain Nina Brooks was flying her fighter ship near Jupiter. She was leading a group of 20 pilots. They were hiding behind the planet's biggest moon. Nina had been watching the enemy ships for weeks. She counted 300 vessels. Each one was bigger than Earth's largest space station. "There. So big," said one of her pilots over the radio. His name was Steve Mitchell. He was new to space combat. "How can we fight something that big?" Nina smiled, but the other pilots couldn't see her face. "Size isn't everything, Steve. Remember your training. We're faster. We're smarter. We know this solar system better than they do. Back on Earth, General Patricia Hayes was in the command center. It was deep underground, hidden from enemy sensors. She was looking at screens that showed the whole solar system. Red dots marked the enemy ships. Blue dots showed human forces. There were many more red dots than blue ones. The warning. "Message has been sent," said one of her officers. "All our ships are in position. The defense networks are ready." Patricia nodded. She was an old woman who had spent her whole life preparing for this day. She knew the aliens would not accept their offer of peace. The Dominion had destroyed every world they had ever visited. They took what they wanted and killed the rest. "Remember," she said to her officers, "we gave them a choice. They could have turned around and left us alone, but they won't. When they attack, we will be ready." The warning message traveled through space. It passed by Mars, where human miners had been working for 30 years. It went by the asteroid belt, where human ships collected metal and rock. It moved past Jupiter and its moons, where human scientists studied the giant planet. But the message was not just words. Hidden in the radio signal was other information. It told every human ship and station to get ready. It activated defense systems that had been built in secret. It woke up weapons that had been sleeping for years. Alex Rodriguez was on Luna Base, humanity's secret command center on the moon. He was watching the enemy fleet through powerful telescopes. The alien ships moved in perfect lines. They looked strong and dangerous. But Alex knew something the aliens didn't know. "They think we're weak," he said to his team. "They see our small ships and think we can't fight. They're wrong." For 50 years, humans had been preparing for this day. They had built hidden weapons in the asteroid belt. They had turned mining ships into warships. They had created new types of bombs and guns. Most importantly, they had learned to work together. The Dominion ruled through fear. Their soldiers obeyed orders without question. Their captains were afraid to make mistakes. Their generals cared more about themselves than their troops. This made them predictable. Humans were different. They could think for themselves. They could change their plans quickly. They could work together even when things went wrong. This was their greatest strength. Ben Parker was the captain of a small ship called the Defender. He was hiding near Saturn with 50 other ships. They were waiting for the enemy to get closer. Ben had fought in many battles. He knew that the first shot was important, but the last shot was what mattered. "They'll be here soon," he told his crew. "Remember what we learned in training. Stay calm, work together, trust each other." The warning message reached the Dominion fleet. Their computers translated the words into their language. The alien commanders read the message and laughed. They had heard similar words from hundreds of other worlds. It was always the same. The weak species would beg for mercy. Then they would fight. Then they would lose. Then they would die. Supreme General Crix Voltinus was the leader of the Dominion fleet. He was a tall green creature with sharp teeth and cold eyes. He had destroyed more worlds than he could count. He had never lost a battle. "These humans are like all the others," he said to his officers. "They think words will save them. They are wrong. Begin the attack." The alien fleet moved forward. Their engines glowed bright blue. Their weapons began to charge. War was coming to Earth, and both sides were ready.